Good morning, YouTube. My name is Vince, and welcome back to my channel, Fern Valley Farm, where on this channel we are pure country. Look what we're doing here. This ain't bee related. Well, it kind of is, but we're putting up a pole barn. So the purpose behind this video is to show you how you want to square off a building. No matter what size building you're building, if it's 100 by 100, if it's 20 by 20, or 10 by 10, if it's out of square, it's not going to come out right. Even though you measure, you can measure, I'll show you in a second, you can measure from this beam here, where's it at, right? From this front beam to the back beam, you can measure from this front beam to the back beam, even though they're the same distance. If you measure across both sides, it's the same distance, but what you want to do, and if you're good at algebra, remember back in high school, remember back when you were in high school, I don't know how old you are when you're watching this video, remember back in the days of high school, oh, you're going to need this someday, you're going to need this someday. I'm like, no, I'm not, I hate this. I don't understand it. Me and algebra, any of that math did not get along. Now I find it a little bit interesting. My point to my story is, I don't need algebra. What you need to do is you need to measure from that corner post. Can you see me in this? Where am I at here? To this corner post. You can measure across from this corner to that corner. And whatever, let's just say it's 120. And then you go from this corner to that corner. If it's 120, you're square. If this one's 120 and that one's 126, you're out of square. Even though it's measuring right, you'll be out of square. So now you got to adjust everything. So you got to take one pole, move it in, move the other. The thing to do, the easiest way to do is stake it out first. Obviously, you're not going to do that with these posts in the ground. Like when I did this, I did rebarb. I had rebarb stakes, or I had just metal poles. Anything works. Wooden stakes. Measure it out, square it, measure it, mark where your hole's going to go. Then you can drill it. Then you still got to don't trust where you marked your hole. If you got an auger for your tractor, or if you're doing it by hand, whatever, you can't just put them in the ground and go. Then you got to remeasure again. So, like I said, the trick to this is making it square. If it's not square, if you're off a ½ inch, don't worry about it. Even an inch, if you're off an inch, it's fine. Yeah, then you'll be good. Once you get it square, you can start tacking your boards on. And I'm going to show you how I just drill this one. I got one more hole to drill on this side. But for this building, and I'm going to show you guys as this building progresses here. It's going to take a while because obviously this all costs money. But you can see where my floor is at. See how much distance there is. You got to get your floor level too. We'll do another top, but I'm like 8 inches up here, 10 inches over there. So I wanted to kind of get this thing started, just to kind of give you an idea, instead of boring you guys watching me drill holes and clean them out and put the posts in. But when you square a building, you have to get all 4 corners. Oh, back to my algebra thing real quick. If you know how to do algebra, this building is 22 by 18. So if you draw this out on paper, you go, 22 is A, B is 18, what is C? And if I remember right, I had a friend of mine had to figure it out for me. It come out to 27 feet 7¾ inches. I think is how it come out to. But if you know how to do algebra, that's the biggest thing. So if you just go A and B and figure out what C is, there's your distance, and you're done. I don't know how to do that. I had to ask somebody. I finally asked somebody because I was close in my measurement. My wife was helping me. I had the corners in. I kept measuring across. I finally got it. But then once you put your posts in, these are 4x4 posts. Once you put your posts in, then you got to measure from the inside of the post to the other inside of the post, because obviously you're too high out of the ground right now to go on from outside to outside. So you go inside to inside, inside to inside, then you're okay. But if you know how to do algebra, you can figure that out really quick. A is 20, B is 15 or whatever. Figure out what C is. So if you know how to do algebra, you do that formula, and you can figure out your distance. So that's pretty much it. We're going to get one hole drilled here really quick, and I'm going to show you how I do that really fast. It's really kind of nice when you got a machine to do this, but it never fails. Even though you got a machine, put this right here. Even though you got a machine, you still wind up cleaning these holes out by hand. Let me show you how I do this really quick. Get all this out of the way. Try and get some of my junk out of the way here. I know you can't see me. Yeah, once you start building stuff, you wind up having all kinds of equipment stuff everywhere. So let me start I've already got this marked off. If you can see where I'm at here. I've already got this marked off from, matter of fact, I'm gonna double check this. The distance between these two posts, this one's already, show you. This one here, I've already got this one measured. So the in-between measurement here is basically 123.5. It's centered. Ah, 124. I'm close. I'm about a ½ inch, but it's hard to make it exact. And if you're wondering, if you're noticing these posts are only 4x4, the reason I'm using 4x4s is to help us save on expense a little bit. But this building isn't very big. It's only an 18-foot wide span. It's not going to have a heavy snow load on it. In the wintertime, it snows, but where this building sits, the snow blows from the north out of the south, and I get all this southerly exposure. It'll all slide. It'll all slide right up. There won't be a ton of weight on this. Plus, once I put my purlings up and I wrap this thing, it'll be solid. Normally, when you build, if this was 24 wide, it'd be either a 4x6 or a 6x6. But this building's only 18 foot. It's only 21 deep. It's not that big. It's like building a garage, basically, a big garage. So that's why I went with 4x4s, because when you start totaling up the cost of all this stuff, it really adds up. When I built my shop over here, when I built that, you see that over there, that long white building? That one is built with 4x6s. My barn, obviously, here, my big building here, my barn, that is that's 120 by 90. So that, obviously that is that's 6x6s. That's got to be, and that's a big span. But this, for a small building like this, you're okay. This is how I'm doing it. I'm not telling you to do it this way. You do whatever you want to do. I'm just doing it with 4x4s because I'm going to finish the whole inside, and I'll show you every step of the way how I do this. But I'm doing it with 4x4s. You can even build beams. You could use 2x. Where's my coffee before it gets cold? Let me grab my coffee here because it's going to get cold. You can even build your beams with 2x6s. You can use, and a lot of these builders now are building beams, which I'm not sure why, because they're cheaper to buy a 6x6 or a 4x6. But they're building them with 2x6s because you're not using green treated up high. You're using it in the ground. But you put 3, you stagger them. You go like, let's say a 6-foot, an 8-foot, and a 10-foot, and bury that in the ground, all nailed together, and then the rest of the way, because it's staggered, you can put boards in between, and you go the rest of the way with pine, untreated lumber, so you're not paying for untreated that's not sitting in the ground. And obviously these are treated 4x4s. Whether you go by 4x4, 4x6, or 6x6, they have to be treated. If you cannot put pine in the ground. If you just throw pine in the ground, it's going to rot. It's going to snap off. You have to use treated lumber. They're down. Where I live, northern Illinois, you got to go 4 feet down. You got to go below the frost line. So these poles are in 4 feet, maybe 3.5 on some of them because I hit rocks, and my auger only goes so deep. Then there's rock at the bottom, but you can see how high this base is. So in reality, they're almost 4.5 feet deep because I'm going to put a cement floor in here when the time comes. Hopefully within about a month. I'm going to put gravel in here. Cement. That's a whole other part of this project. You put your posts in the ground. You got to use treated lumber. You cannot just put pine in the ground. It will rot. So buy yourself some good treated lumber, whether it's 4x4, 4x6, 6x6, and use that. Bury it. Now, if you're down south where it's warm and you don't got to worry about frost, you're fine. I don't know how deep because obviously I've lived up here my whole life, so I don't know how deep they bury stuff down there. But I'm going to assume for a big building, they probably still go 4 feet just for the strength. Even our water lines here have to be at least 5 feet deep. 4 foot minimum below the frost, but guys, when they bury water lines here, it's 5 feet. You get a backhoe or a trencher and just bury it 5 feet. Then you're well below the frost line. You don't got to worry about your water lines freezing. Here again, that's another subject. So back to this subject. When you're putting your posts in the ground, make sure they're treated. Get them down deep enough here. If you get winters like we get winters, you got to go below the frost line. If you're somewhere warm, I don't know how deep you have to go, or you might only be able to go 2 feet. I don't know. That you need to check out. So if you're watching this video in California, Florida, Texas, you got to find out how deep you should go, because I can't answer that question. Up here, 4 feet minimum. You can go 5 feet if you wanted to. 4 feet minimum, get below the frost. Put cement. They sell round cement pads that go at the bottom of these holes. You can put a cement block at the bottom so your post sits on something solid. I have gravel. I put gravel down so the posts are sitting on gravel. And then once these things are all set, I'm going to finish filling them in with dirt. And I take a bucket of water. Once the dirt's in the ground, I put the water around it. I'll put a couple of buckets, let the water soak. It takes and pulls the dirt together. It'll help pack it tighter. And you can put rock if you want. I'm just going to put dirt and pack it. You could take a hand. I have an old piece of. Is it close by? Where's it at? I'll show you. I've had this stick for probably 100 years. I even had duct tape on it for a handle. All it is a piece of wood. It's got a flat end. When I pack the dirt around the post, then you just go around and just kind of tamp it down, just pack it. Obviously, make sure your poles are level. These poles right now are all level. And you can see I got them tied together with just scrap lumber for now. That one's braced. But once I nail these 2x8s on the bottom, it kind of holds them in place. But get them level. So you get them in the ground. Get your measurements correct, get your angles correct, make sure your poles are straight, and then just kind of tie them together with something so they don't move. And as I go along here, I'll show you how you kind of keep going, how you start banding this building, if you want to use that word, banding it with, wrapping it with 2x6s. Right here, right where this tractor bucket is sitting, there's going to be another post right here because I'm going to put a garage door here, and I'm going to put a small door over here. So, but yeah, get your posts in the ground, get your dirt, get your cement at the bottom or gravel, put your posts on that, get them level, get them straight, make sure it's square, put dirt around it, tamp it. I pour buckets of water down. It just helps pack that dirt tighter. And then when you finish it, you're going to put your dirt around those holes, build your dirt up a little bit high if it's exposed to the weather right now, because the rain and stuff will pack that dirt down, and then that stuff won't move. It'll be rock solid. So, anyways, all right, I think that's kind of it. Like I said, I'll show you how I drill this hole. But I'm going to show step by step with this building how this works. Let me go ahead and drill this hole really fast. I've got the ground marked. This right here. Okay. Really quick, I'm just going to measure my distance again between these two poles to make sure this one is in the right spot. What did I say it was? about 124. Let me bring this in so you can see this. Pretty close. You're not going to get exact, obviously. Once you drill your hole, then you're going to have to measure it anyways. And when you drill your hole, don't drill your hole if your pole is right. Let me show you here. See this pole? You want to drill. You don't want to drill your hole. This is the outside. This ain't showing really well here. You want to drill your hole in the center where the pole is going to go. You want to drill your hole right in the center or where that's going to go, because you're going to have to clean it out anyways. Let me tip this down. So you want to drill this thing right in the center, about where your post is going to be, and you got to make sure this is straight too. And you want to make sure your auger is straight too. You know, if it's tipped one way or the other, it's going to dig your hole on an angle. So obviously this hole, it's leaning this way a little bit. I just got to straighten it out. I just use my tractor bucket. So right about there where the hole's going to go. You can even get in between. You can go in between your two beams and just from a distance look, just to basically make sure it's in the middle. You're still going to probably have to clean this hole out a little bit. But this is right in the middle. So we're going to auger this down. Like I said, make sure this thing is straight. You see it's hitting rock. There you go. There, all right, there's our hole. There's my hole. Did you notice how if you ever like rent one of these, or if you have a tractor and you get yourself an auger, or you borrow an auger, one little piece of advice. Did you notice how I was drilling, pulling up, drilling, pulling up? If you just let that auger bite, it's going to grab and pull you all the way down. Your tractor's going to go up and you're going to have to hand dig that thing out. Ask me how I know this. Go down, come up. Go down, come up. Just keep cleaning the hole out. Go farther, farther, and pull it. But don't just auger. Because if that thing grabs, it's going to go wham. It's going to grab it right down. It's going to just take it right down. It'll kill your tractor. Then you're going to spend another hour hand digging to get your auger out of the hole. Like I said, ask me how I know this. The very first time I used one of these, this was years ago, I just turned it on, started digging, and wham, my tractor went down, popped up in the air. I'm like, oh my God. So I spent an hour digging the auger out. It comes out, obviously. Your 3-point hitch will lift it out of the ground. So dig, go up, dig, go up. And you can see it was hitting rock. There's a lot of rock down here because there wasn't a lean-to here where I used to store hay. So I put a bunch of base in here. But once it gets past the rock, it goes right down. You can see all the clay, a lot of clay down deep. No water, which I'm surprised. If this was spring, I'd have water, no problem down there. So anyways, that's it. Let me back this up. I'm going to get the tractor moved out of there in a second. So anyways, this is kind of the first step of this building. Like I said, make sure you get it square. If you live where I live, where it's cold, you get cold, freezing winters, it's got to go down 4 feet minimum. If you live somewhere warmer, ask somebody how deep do you have to go. So, but I'll show you step by step. Once I get all these posts in, then I'm going to start wrapping boards. I'll show you the next step on what you do when you're putting up small garage, small pole barn, big pole barn. This process, what I'm doing here, works the same for a 21 by 18 or a 200 by 100. Same theory, just bigger stuff. So anyways, get your holes straight, get them where they belong, get your posts in, make sure everything is level, make sure your distances are equal, and you're good to go. So the rest of it won't be bad. So anyways, hopefully you like this video. Hopefully you'll learn something from this. Like I always said, I appreciate you watching my videos. Consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. Hit this little button right here, subscribe. If you do subscribe, there's a bell next to that subscribe button. Click that bell. You'll get notified every time a video comes out. But for now, until we get to the next step of this, I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.